I think, yeah, I think I want to say one thing about academia versus industry, which is that, like, I think, well, one, I think it helps to it'll help for both players to, one, not be very sort of antagonistic to each other. I think when these debates happen, there's academia is often like they play this well-known card of like, oh no, we're not just making ad money, like we're not just optimizing ad targeting or whatever, we're doing something better, and so on. And they're also doing long-term things. We're doing foundational, like, research, and, like, fundamental research. One, I think that's not true. Like, I think industry does fundamental research, just because, I mean, we're right now, industries, I mean, there are these huge players, right? Like, I mean, Google, like Meta, all the big sort of tech companies, they're operating at decades level, right? Like, I mean, they're thinking in terms of 10 years, 20 years, like, and so on. So they're all invested in fundamental research in a way more than academia, because academia tends to have people who want to just sort of like publish, right? Like, I mean, okay, should be careful with that. Like, I think there is this like publishing incentive, and there's this like grant writing incentive, and so on. So industry does actually have incentives to be very long term. Then, I mean, obviously industry has like really, like, I mean, sort of mature, sort of like experienced researchers, while academia tends to have more like, it tends to be dominated by students who are like most sort of still in the learning phase. So that obviously, like, industry just like wins sort of because of that. And industry also, like, invests in like helping, like, not students, but like sort of younger sort of people who are not super experienced in research, like, I mean, residency programs and stuff like that. um and yeah, so where was I? So okay, the like, one thing I want to, like, yeah, so academia also has this idea that, oh yeah, we're truly free to work on whatever we want to work on. I think that's actually just not true. Like, I think, like industry also obviously has this like downstream, extremely downstream sort of profit incentive. Academia also has that. Like, I mean, they are funded by, like, I think, I mean, in a lot of cases, like military organizations, right? Like DARPA and so on. And they also have very much like a incentive to produce work which will be used by these, like, yeah, like, organizations like that. And sometimes there's enough like steps in the middle, like, I mean, like, I think agencies like CFAR are, they're much more, oh yeah, we just want to do good research. Like, I mean, they're not as connected. I think that Geoffrey Hinton left like the United States and actually went to Canada because he didn't want to get his funding from the military. And so, because in the US, like, the military like funds a lot of academia, right? And in Canada, like, so CFAR, which, like, I think, so Jeff Hinton and Joshua both are like, I think they were both at the time also, they were like huge, like, I think they were co-chairs, and I think even now they are. And I mean, CFAR has produced amazing things. Like, I mean, yeah, one should just check them out. And so I think, yeah, they were sort of like, for like, they had enough insight, sort of foresight, to fund like neural networks at a time when it was not a thing. um so yeah, I don't think academia has this like sort of this, they can't just say that, oh, we can do blue sky research. I think when you have to write grants every few months, and you have to sort of justify that using, you have to say things like, oh yeah, we published at NeurIPS, like, or we publish papers, and you're like, the paper publishing sort of cycles are 3 months, 6 months, right? And so how can you do like blue sky research if you have to publish something in 3 months or 6 months? Like, so yeah, it just turns out, yeah, I actually think industry does like, is it the industry, the sort of incentive structure in industry is actually much better incentive, like, aligned to actually do amazing research. Like, I mean, you can talk to a lot of like people who were in academia and then went to industry, and now they're actually doing good work, while when they were in academia, they were sort of just doing, okay, what can I publish, like, ASAP, what will sort of get me a lot of attention and publicity, and like, make improve my sort of job prospects and things like that, while industry is like, I want to solve the problem.
You make a really good point. I see this on Twitter a lot, like people who who go from academia to industry, but then now that they're in industry, they're complaining about having to work on LLMs.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, DeepMind is still like, I mean, there's so many people at DeepMind who are not working on LLMs, or yeah, it's, yeah. Like, I think like startups and like there's some, like, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
startups, and like, I think for instance, Tesla has this like very focused approach. Like Tesla is, I mean, actually even like Tesla, which is, I don't know if I can say that, but like, yeah, we do a lot of other things than autopilot. Like, I mean, or, which are like really sort of, I mean, they're pretty blue sky in the sense that they have a chance to land in like 3 to 5 years, like not in like 1 or 2 years. Like, so and while I think like Tesla is a pretty focused company, like, I mean, it's not like, it's not like Google Brain or DeepMind where we're just doing research.